This week I've been working mostly on visual improvements and pathfinding. You may have noticed last week I was using text commands to drive the native DLL. This was really nice for debugging early on because I had a human-readable log. If something goes wrong, I can see the exact steps that led to the problem. For now I'm leaving the text-based communication in place, but I've started adding some UI to save myself some typing. This UI is only meant for development and experimentation though. My plan is to build this as sort of a sandbox until I have all the core mechanics working, then I'll start adding real game UI and gameplay flow. For the star field, I switched from using particles to a multi-mesh instance because I found the particle system too limiting. The biggest problem being you can't give particles an infinite lifetime and just replace them when they go outside a bounding box. Luckily it was pretty easy to get what I wanted with multi-mesh. It just took some experimentation with the material to get the look I wanted. Each star is actually a tiny unshaded cube, with alpha determined by distance, so more distant stars appear dimmer. I could use billboarded planes here instead, but I kind of like the voxel look for this game. I'm also using the fixed size flag, which I really appreciate being able to do with just a checkbox. However, in other areas I've been struggling to get the results I want with spatial materials, so I'm just editing shaders by hand. Although I did get a very helpful comment that solved some of my rendering mysteries from a past video. The depth sorting issue with my selection cube can be solved by unchecking the transparent flag on my crew sprite, so I don't need 2 copies of my selection cube mesh anymore, and instead of editing the shader to discard transparent pixels, I can use the alpha scissoring parameter. It's likely that most of my difficulties are because I just don't understand the material model well enough yet, but I find it much easier to just edit shader code in some cases, rather than doing trial and error with the various flags and properties available. This was especially true with the new green highlight for showing where a unit can move. I couldn't find a way to disable shading but still have per vertex coloring to make that outside edge brighter. So to solve this, I just replaced the fragment shader with these 2 lines. Of course, I could just use 2 meshes instead, but why do that when I can use such a simple shader? I don't have units actually moving yet, but at least now I can see that my custom A-star implementation is working. Using my own will give me greater flexibility for things like conditionally ignoring doors or letting the AI factor danger into its pathing, but those things will come a bit later. I'm going to focus on player-controlled actions first, and then start merging in all that crazy AI code I wrote earlier. There are some other visual improvements I didn't go into, like removing overlapping faces for adjacent wall cubes to avoid z-fighting, and switching from directional lights to omni-lights, but visual polish and experimentation will probably be an ongoing thing throughout the rest of development. And I guess this is a short one, but that's about all I have to say for this week. I am finally experimenting with different video editing software, for now HitFilm Express, and so far I don't hate it. I'm also continuing to develop mostly in Xcode for now, and maybe getting a bit less clumsy with it, but I really wish I knew how to get it to match compiler errors with the relevant source code. That's by far my biggest annoyance with it, so if anyone watching this knows how to fix that, please let me know in the comments. I'd like to again thank my Patreon supporters, especially for being patient with my slow progress lately, and special thanks again to David Nurkala. You can check the links in the description or on screen if you want to support this channel or join our Discord server. And as always, it really helps if you hit the like button, spread the word about this video series, and subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, thanks for watching.